morning, good afternoon, good evening, everybody. Thanks a lot for joining us. We're here, we are live, and we've got a few things to get through, guys. We've got Sorare rewards to go through tonight, and also, it's the first time I've been mano a mano with you since we've had the new prize pool review, and I'm going to have the first kind of glance over on the main rare strategy I'm going to be running with, of course, with my Celtic cards in the contender region. But we are here, guys. We are locked and loaded. We are ready to go because this game week we had the Euros final and we had some action, guys. We're picking up 3 card rewards tonight across under 23, across All-Star and Cap 270, which was actually the last team that I made overall. And ultimately, guys, for me, I had a great time this game week, I must confess. Now, in this kind of non-European, you know, it's the summer, it's the off-season, it's international season and all that good stuff. I've still had American cards and a few other bits and pieces, so I've still had teams going out. But in this period, I have been starved of some big scores across a couple of teams here. And this is where I wanted to start the reward opening with tonight, guys. The tail of the tape for FC Barcelona, because we got some players, we got some heroes, guys, really stepping up and dropping some big scores. And I think this is a part of like my Sorare kind of like club, or my, you know, experience with playing the game and, you know, evaluating my squad, etc., that I put a lot of, you know, energy into when it comes to these game weeks where you were expecting nothing and it came out. And when you look at the tail of the tape, we've got 2 midfielders here cracking 95, basically ringing in a 100 with Ryan Gold and João Carlos Teixeira. Didn't you just know it? After me bemoaning him on Sorare data, you just felt I'd kind of reverse cursed him into a big score. But Kosei Tani, again, what a hero of a guy he's having this year, a season this guy's having this year, as well as Matt Freeze. 2 power keepers, 2 power mids. That's got to be the basis of 2 really good teams. We've got Abada dropping a 71. We've got Malte Amundsen 67. Mika Oyarzabal coming off the bench for Spain and scoring the winning goal, obviously, in the Euros final. Hopefully, we've got him somewhere. Thiago Martins, Matila Ilinic, Dani Olmo with his goal line clearance, by the way, which, wow. Mickey Yaman on a respectable 56. Kim Jin-hoon and Sean Johnson with the mid-50s. Again, very respectable non-clean sheet scores there. And then we've got a bunch of guys that, you know, this is the kind of scores I've been wrestling with in a lot of my teams. And a lot of the guys just kind of followed on where they've been recently. So we've got a few of these guys to carry and avoid. But we've got 3 teams here. Now, you might not be too, you might be looking at this going, Quinn, it's a couple of tier 3s, man, calm down. But 2 teams finishing 22nd in the top 25 for Cap 270 and under 23. I'm pretty proud of, you know, I think we've done well this game week. And the Cap 271 is top of the tape here. This was the last one I made because forward options were just minimal. I had absolutely nothing. I knew Oyarzabal was going to start on the bench, and that's why he went into this team. But Freeze, double decisive. Alistair Johnson in his 3rd, 4th place playoff, which ultimately they lost on penalties to Uruguay. Captain Teixeira. And Keaton Parks held us back on this one with a 35-pointer, 40 including multiplier. And if really we had a lot of anyone else's, we're in the top 15, we're cruising, you know, we're absolutely cooking. And if somehow we managed to put like the gold in here or something, like we're podiuming, you know. So close but no cigar, 22nd, Cap 270, quite buzzing with that for as long as this division runs. And in under 23, guys, this one is brilliant, right? We've got Ilinic and Sands in that 2nd New York season with a 3% collection bonus on it. You know, bring in the scores that we need. If those guys kind of do that kind of thing, then this team flies because Tani drops an 80 with a clean sheet. Huge value game away to Tokyo Verde, I think that is. And Abada, as you've seen there, 71 points raw score, but with my collection bonus and his high XP and all the rest of it, him being a special card is just a wee bit of glean on the victory there, but it's an 82-point haul all in. But I picked the absolute worst captain possible in Marius Broholm, who I was pleasantly surprised to see on my timeline today from the Rosenborg Twitter account. Dispossessing a Man United player or 2, I think one might be Rashford. And, you know, you guys in the live chat, the Scandinavians that joined the channel, you guys told me, you said, listen, Quinny, not levels, right? But stylistically, this guy's got a bit of the David Silvas about him. And I could see that in that kind of brief little thing there. And, you know, that was, you know, really glad to see that. But he dropped an absolute clanger. He's brought in a 40-pointer as the captain. And it's really held us back. Now, I didn't have many options that were under 23 capable, to be honest with you, but 2 points away from breaking the top 20, 19 places would have got a tier 2. So I do feel that even if I just changed captain, I should hit anyone. I've been wrestling with the decision to maybe make Tani a captain because he's been doing scores like this all year. And I think maybe the next time we run under 23s, is Captain Tanny. An All-Star Rare, I was really sad that this dropped as far as it did. Ultimately, the score is what it is. It's only 342. But Captain Gold on a 99, Sean John's 55, plus the collection bonus, bringing in a 63, which does make up a difference on the clean sheet rankings, let's say. We've got a good collection bonus on your man. Santi let us down a bit here, but JFR was the main letdown. Only 9 points away from a tier 3, which would have made this a tier 3 treble, as it were. 54 points into a tier 2. I could have definitely swapped Santi for Teixeira. I could have definitely did that if I was a wee bit more confident in Teixeira. But that would have killed the 270 team. That would have won probably bugger all. So it's one of those ones. But if we did throw the Teixeira in, he's getting an extra 50 points basically. So yeah, we could have got into the tier 2 realm in All-Star, which has been very kind to us. So 3 cards to pick up tonight, guys, and then we'll go and have a look at the prize pools and how my contender rares kind of fleshing out and what is the plan of attack for everything over there. But yeah, nice little kind of display here now on the club, which is cool. So let's see, we've got some coins and we've got those 3 cards from those 3 teams. So it's 2 tier 3s, one from under 23 and one from Cap 270. Those cards can be from anywhere in the world, and of course, so can the one from All-Star, which is a tier 4. Now, tier 4 is bottom of the barrel, you know, so if there's any shine on this card, we're happy with this French midfielder who plays for Las Palmas, Enzo Lodis. Now, that's not a name. Checking out Balikwisha. Can I come back to that? That's a name I know, but is it Loyodis? Yeah. So need to find out the skinny on this guy if he was on loan or something. So I know Las Palmas had a lot of that. They've let some players go as well. So just need to double check his actual status. Not much to be excited about, I suppose, but he is under 23 for another little bit. So I guess we can toss him in the pile, you know. And maybe if he does get a wee bit more love, maybe some players leaving, he gets a bit more AA, a lot of sub appearances here actually, which kind of dilutes his scores and his potential. Yeah, so you know, the only way is up, maybe. You know, when he starts, he can definitely be a mid-teens AA guy. So cool. Nice start for a tier 4. I'm happy with that. Good tier 4. Now, under 23, I do rank above Cap 270, personally. So this is a tier 3. Should be a guy that plays. Should be a guy that is semi-viable for some of my teams. And I've had some tier 3 rewards in the teams you've seen tonight. But he's a Spanish defender that plays for Athletic Bilbao. Yere. Now, some of these Athletic Bilbao defenders I do confuse from time to time. So I think Yeri is alright. I think he's a 52 merchant, but likes a booking, if it is who I think it is. But there's a few of them, and he's a wee bit younger than what I'd have thought, so I don't think I'm thinking the right guy. Yeah, he's actually got a wee bit more of the big greens about him. 57 here with the clean sheet. That's not too impressive, but not too bad either. Red card. Yeah, maybe it is the guy I'm thinking of. Goal line clearance or a last man tackle. It's a clearance off the line. Love that. If he's got more than one of them, then I'm going to start to imagine he's on the post for corners. Athletic Club are going to be playing in Europe next year. 41 away to Almeria there. Great score. I wonder why he wasn't playing before. He does have 30 odd AA in him here, even in a 3-0 loss. That's a very impressive performance. So yeah, this is a guy that I'm happy with, I suppose. I don't know if he'll hit the depth chart. I don't think I'll sell him just because I just don't think there's really much value in that for me. But yeah, a guy again similar to the last one. We can add to the pile certainly. And this should be so this is under 23 now. So you've seen how good this guy is as a tier 3. He's 28, plays for a team in Europe. Maybe he doesn't play all the time, but let's see how it kind of shakes out in the new season. Maybe we can forecast when he plays well enough on occasion. Maybe he's semi-usable. This should be something similar, but under 23, which means it should be, oh, so rare. Mamma mia, what are you doing to me? It means he should be a wee bit more wonder kiddie. It means he should be a wee bit more exciting. And he is Noah Cruyff. So it's a goalkeeper. Now that's interesting, especially if there's some sort of potential for him to be the Magdeburg #1 or get moved to another team in the Bundesliga too. Under 23 as well. 20 years of age, that utility will be there for a little while. But yeah, I'll need some intel from you guys on this one, because again, Cruyff, I'm not sure if it's a name I recognise, to be honest with you. Let's have a look at the flash score, see if he plays any youth international. So Cruyff. Noah Cruyff, Magdeburg. Nah, no international tab, so he's just this. Interesting. Magdeburg, let's have a look at the goalkeeper standings. There's other websites where this would be better on, but just this is a few clicks away. Kampa at 19 and Ryman. Yeah, Ryman's handy, I think. So it's a firm number 2, I think. No, it's not going to be anything too exciting. But if he goes for a few quid, maybe we can use him as trade bait. Yeah, 15 quid maybe. We can do something with that later on. Because I've been doing some trading, guys, as you can see. Some new cards over here. We'll talk about that more later on. But yeah, guys, let me know. These are the notifications of what we've got in as well. So I'll just hide those cards so we can... Oh, no, actually, let me just filter by rare. Because that's what we're going to be talking about tonight for the most part anyway. Sol has went to Seville, so I'm quite buzzing about that. But Paulo Bernardo looks like he's on his way to Celtic. Got that in 9 days ago, so I feel I did well enough getting a nice wee... I think that was a first owner card as well, instant buy. But Yari, Luidis and Cruyff, let me know what you think, guys. W's or L's. I'm not sure this guy really holds up to the tier 3 standing, but maybe because he's a keeper, it's a little bit different, I suppose, with keepers overall. But I think that's a bit of a letdown. Yeri is fine enough, really, especially out with cap 270. And it's cool that Oyarzabal won a Liga card, which is fun. And Lodis from All-Star is a tier 4. I think it's a very good tier 4. So mixed. I wasn't expecting anything from the game week, but fist bump to all you guys on arrival. Hopefully you've liked the stream on arrival. But we've got Shaforko, we've got Sorare CT4, FPL veteran, Johnny TH, Alex Coombs, Pablo Bro, Red or Dead, Charlie Dunbar, J Vic, Jack Evans, David Taylor, P Doc, Coplice, Ian Sorare. I think I've caught all these. Alex Coombs, David Taylor, in case I missed these earlier. J Vic as well, I'm not sure. But yeah, I think that's me caught you all that are here with us. So thanks very much, guys. Let me know your thoughts and feelings. Let me know if you guys won anything as well and how good or how bad it was or whatever. Because now we've got a much better framework for what is good and bad and unusable and whatever. Because over the last couple of days, I think it was Friday, or me and Laird, was it Monday? I forget. But a few days ago, we got the new reward pool out. Now, I don't know why this has jumped because I had it all lined up for the screens that I wanted. There we go. So the main one that I've got running in rare that I'd say I'm the most bought in with, I've got the most expectations for, is my Celtic collection over into the new season. Because like I've been quite vehemently chatting about on the channel, you need to have a solid place, a solid strategy in place for what you're going to do in Classic and how that will filter through to any strategy you have for in-season, because they're separate strategies but they kind of dovetail together somewhat. And for me with Celtic, it is firmly like boss Classic, get boxes, get to D1, get the good cards quickly from winning and build a team as quick as I can. Maybe I buy a few on the way with some other moves I can make, but can't really forecast winning good champion cards that I can sell and then go and buy a Celtic Kasper Schmeichel with. We just kind of need to wait for that to happen and kind of judge that accordingly. It's more feasible for me to try and think about winning in-season cards of a high tier. And because of the team I'm kicking about with is a high tier team, it's quite likely that, with the collection bonus as well and the way this is built, I don't know if it's been present or whatever, but my Sorare factory, where you turn your essence into cards and all that good stuff, it feels like it's my factory, FC Barcelona. So it feels like my factory would know, for example, what clubs I've got a badge for. It feels like something that my factory should be aware of to some extent. So I'm relatively hopeful. I might actually go and get a Barcast, by the way, at some point. That's not bad. Celtic Barcast, there's not many of them. So I might go and get that. But I've got 3 seasons of Celtic, and with Joe Hart retiring, and obviously Barcast not even been an in-region card anymore, as well as Bain and Seagrass being useless, I've not got any goalkeeper options. So I've had to work around that. I've won 2 keepers in this region already that will be playing. Jonas Urbig, who's also U23, so that might cause me a problem if I have a good under-23 team and don't have Van de Voort available. And Hoon as well, who's over in the K-League. But I've got all the main kind of characters and at least a double pretty much for most of the main ones that you want that could be decisive capable and will be populating some of the better teams. There's also a wee bit of transfer jeopardy around Matt O'Reilly at the moment, which does make a big difference to any Celtic stack. Having 2 O'Reillys is so powerful. Having 3 Hatates is very good as well. But so, it's one of those ones where you need to watch what the incoming transfers seem to be as well. But like I say, I've not got complete collections, but I'll be on 4 and 5% bonuses across all of them. And with the right multiples I've got, I could do with an Alistair Johnson. I could do a second one of him. got a Liam Scales already in Aberdeen, but I could do with, again, I think we'll buy a centre back, so Scales doesn't have much value for me right now in terms of speculating or whatever. Another Vickers would be fine, but I already have two, so a third one I don't think is entirely necessary, but would be welcomed if I could get it cheap enough. Similarly with like the likes of McGregor and Kyogo, I've already got two of them. I do have 3 Dysons, but with all the other forwards that are going around, I'll definitely need to mix and match a little bit more coming into the next season. So with that being like the core strategy, and then what kind of follows around that, it's sad that on this tab you can't filter by region, because I think that would be a really effective filter to have to really build your collections the way I like to, and I think everyone really should be, to optimize the cards that they own, the cards that they target, etc. Because if we do look at Rakitic isn't going to show on this sadly at the moment, because he's a guy I've bought to do this kind of job, as well as a few other guys that we'll come to see in a second. But I think if you're going to be ironing in on a region like I am with Contender, with a core team that you support, you've got a big collection with, for whatever the Sorare reasoning might be, you do need to still furnish that with some random captain picks or some random smashers that can really push you over the top. In the Celtic region, it's really fun to try and get some of these guys in, to be honest with you. Berardi, I'm actually hoping becomes a champion card, but the likes of Haustenberg, the likes of Falcao, Teixeira, even Bro to a lesser extent, Lennon Miller comes into this picture as well if he does fulfill his potential. And is there someone else? We've got 2 pages of cards here too. We've got Saka, Tanaka probably transfers, Tani, Andrade, Heber, both those Brazilian New York cards play in China now. You know, we've got some other wild cards that could come in, because this is a multi-entry game, you know, playing these tournaments, and you really do need to think about, there's a great tab up here, by the way, for getting rid of the details. We should be able to get more of the cards on screen, but you really do need to have it as a strategy, is like, this is going to be 3 teams worth of players. Like, that's the way it's going to be, and the amount of depth and the amount of quality options. Because if we look at the rewards we got tonight and the scores we had across the gallery, when I'm looking at this Celtic strategy, I can't foresee many games where I'm going to have, let's say, 4+ Celtic players break 70. It just didn't really happen too much last season. Yeah, it probably can happen, I suppose, often enough, but then it's like just getting to 71 for like 2 cards isn't going to be enough to win divisions, which is what I'm hoping to do with a collection like this, which is why you do need those. Did we change tabs? Sorry. No, I don't think we did we? Oh, we did. Yes, we're on this tab. That's a boo-boo from me, sorry, because I had a tab lined up for something else, but here we are. So yeah, I do think we need a little bit of that in it, just to push it over the top, as well as separating you from the crowd. I don't really need to worry about separating myself from the crowd, because really there's not going to be any higher powered Carter Vickers, McGregor, Kyogo, Dyson, Rio cards out there in any position, really. I've even got a forward to Tate. Could do with a defender one, but it's not a priority whatsoever. But this is the main thing. So when I look at the prize pools, right, this is in season, which is kind of secondary to what I want to talk about. So I did have this lined up, so I need to go and dig it out again, guys. And I'll catch up with the live chat just as I get that page set up together, because the first thing we need to look at, of course, is the classic payout, because these cards will be classic cards predominantly. Now, I know one of each of them can go into the in-season thing, and again, that's part of the thinking as well, because maybe the Heber, maybe the Teixeira, maybe the Falcao, you know, some of these guys could be my classic cards that go into an in-season team. They've got a brilliant matchup, they're at home, they're in great form, yada yada, and they can help put some of the tier 3 in-season guys that I've got over the top a bit better. So a team like I've got there, that I would expect, like when I'm building this team, I'm aiming high, you know, so the scores required in this region are going to be tough and are going to be big, but I think the players that I've got will be bringing more of the big scores than not overall. So this is the first place where I try and put the yardstick across for the lineups and for the teams I've got. Sound is very low, sorry about that, maybe I'm just too far from the mic, I've been jumping about tonight. Ryman is a nailed on starter, yeah, I agree with that. How do the Premier League tickets for your Rivals League? So Jack, if you won Premier League tickets on my Rivals League, thanks very much for entering, mate, well done, congratulations. Sorare are going to be reaching out to all the winners across all the private leagues, especially the ambassador ones or whatever, over this week, so they'll be in touch with you directly, buddy. If you are a winner, so congratulations again. I won Copa America last game week and I get 2k in rewards, very lucky. Well done, Andre Nusco, GG's to you. Jonathan Gargi, fist bump, my man, good to see you in the house. To be clear, next season it's still possible to use one classic card. Yes, it is. Yeah, I think we kind of maybe both said that at the same time. That's funny. So you know, the first thing that kind of I look at with this is going to be a very competitive division. We know going into it that Contender is going to be bottom of the food chain, which is why I think this is a good subject for us to chew over after we've just won some rewards and we've seen some scores on the boards, because to finish like in the top 20 is like a good spot to be in, and we've just won some tier 3s there. So in the better division, if I want all 3 teams to be in D1. That's really my aim, my objective. If I do have one team in D2 on occasion, maybe 2 of them in a bad situation, then so be it. But I really should be, and I think, like, how am I sitting at the moment? Let's use this tab for that. Just zooms on mega, sorry. But let me see what region. I don't think I've messed about with Contender in the off season because I just didn't want relegated and stuff. And it's not open here. Let's see on this one. Challenger, Contender. So yeah, actually I do need to get a wee bit of promotion on the go here if possible, because I am. Then season 1, I'm less bothered about because I've already got a D2 team, and I think for the sort of card acquisition strategy I've got, starting in D2, etc., is not going to be something I'm going to be upset about. If anything, it's probably something I'll use to my advantage later on. I could probably actually think about game week 1 hammering these divisions and getting promoted, which is semi-fun, I suppose. And if this is the kind of game week, we're looking at, what was it there? 2 D2s and a D3. So D2, if I could get into the top 6 in both of them, then I'm looking at maybe 1 Celtic card, which would be fun. And then the D3 team, again, I'd like to see that get promoted in some sort of style. Maybe it gets to the top 50-ish. I guess a handy enough card, and then from there we're kind of kicking on, hopefully. So yeah, tier 2s, and with this region as well, we get 25% payout on boxes, and there should be more cards in this boxes. There won't be market credits, there'll be essence, there should be power-ups as well, maybe some jersey potential, and a few bits and pieces. So having 3 teams get into the prizes, then we're thinking about 9 boxes maybe, depending on how the box payout is structured, if there's any change to volume and quality. That's still a bit TBC. But again, the better boxes in the higher divisions. So I've not pulled any cards yet. And again, it is RNG, so you can't possibly, say, oh, I'll win a card in a box or whatever. But I think I've got just about enough there. The main problem I think I've got when I look at this strategy at the moment is I definitely think if we break it into, and feel free to play along at home, kids, as well, but I definitely feel that when it comes to each division, and again, we do gallery reviews on the channel very often where I'm doing this kind of analysis on like your club. If you're not a member, there's a link just under me on the video. You can press the join button. It's £1 a week, £4 a month. We do the streams once or twice a week. We do lineup building as well on top of that. But when I'm looking at positions, or when I'm looking at strategies that you guys are building, or also when I'm looking at mine, I try and go through position by position, of course, and I'm looking for, oh yeah, Tanny. I always forget about Tanny. But again, under 23, so a wee bit of conflict there. But I do have 3 keepers ready to go. I've got 3 guys that won't have direct fixture correlation right off the bat. So I'm playing against the clock with that in a roundabout way. I have toyed with the idea of getting a Bursic at Hibs, but not to be yet. I'm kind of waiting to see what happens with Segrist, because if he got a funky move to, like, I don't know, like Ross County or something, I don't know, then fantastic. I would just use those cards. They would help a lot for that fixture correlation. But I'm definitely going to get a cash for Schmeichel sooner than later. And Sinisalo is another card that I'll need to get in on a first owner basis and level up with cards. So I kind of know I've got one and a half goalkeepers to forcibly bring into the club. And with the 2 I've won, one that I've held on to for ages, I think I've just about got, like, I can think about playing 3 teams in a big weekend, but I do have that sensitivity to the fixtures if it's a midweek Scottish game or something like that. But in defence, of course, like I mentioned, I've got the double Vickers, which is fun. I've got Alistair Johnson somewhere. I think, am I just going blind? There he's there. Who can, there's 3 defenders that can run a team, certainly. As well as then just if I know that Welsh is in, if I know Scales is in, I've got Taylor, who's been a great card as well. Then I've got the ability to play some other guys. But I've only got Hausenberg. Maybe that's a bit of a limitation. But I think the depth I've got with Celtic, and maybe like Lager BLK could go to fucking Norway or something. I don't know. Maybe just a wee bit of that. Kobayashi goes back to Japan. Maybe, I don't know, Welsh got a loan. I don't know. Things could happen. Maybe a little bit more versatility comes out of what I've got here. A second Taylor would help, but I just feel that we're going to buy another left back, and I want to see who that is before I get a second Taylor, because at the moment 1 is enough, quite frankly. But again, we throw the Hausenberg in there. That's 4 defenders across 3 teams. Or if I get my first in-season team, one of them would definitely be a quality enough defender to lead an in-season team into battle, as it were. And I like them all. Again, Hausenberg doesn't quite have the fixture correlation with many of the cards. It does go with Urbig, which is a goalkeeper, which is fantastic. But I see otherwise it's just kind of pointless depth behind that. I'm a big Scales fan, I'm a big Taylor fan, but right now there's big question marks over the transfer policy at Celtic Park. So again, I'm trying to minimise the onus on cards like that as quickly as I can, which is why against kind of the run of play, I really could have done without getting this Vickers in, but Hendo was selling a one-of and it was kind of hard to ignore. And when I look at this, I think I've got a lovely double defence in the making here of one of Vickers and one of Alistair Johnson. Just feels like that's maybe a pair of FC Barcelona defenders that could go well together. And again, I think all these teams can quite feasibly meet the ambitions that I've maybe got for them. But midfield, again, there's this same sort of pressure on the players. But as you and I both know, we need a captain. The captain can't come from defence. I think Alistair Johnson's captain capable. If you were really pressed, maybe Vickers, because he can drop a 74 or something. Hausenberg maybe, but not nailed on, So Teixeira getting back into the 90s is great to see as well. Broholm's a mid card that plays in attack, so get some good AA, high value attacking output. If he does get decisives as well, because he's just in the mix for it, can be somewhat viable for like team 3, whereas Teixeira's like a team 1 level guy. So there's a bit of scale on the go with expectations for players. Like Lennon Miller could be a team 3 guy very feasibly, but firmly like both the O'Reillys, as long as he stays at Celtic. And right now feels like this might become a champion card for me, but while he's here, I'm dealing with him, and I know it's kind of the reverse of what I was saying with Taylor and Scales, but with O'Reilly, I do have the forward plan in motion on the go, hopefully, because I do have 2 Hitates who can score maybe just as well, and maybe in the absence of O'Reilly can grab some more of that AA that he had similarly with the 2 McGregors. So I think even within Celtic, the score replacer for O'Reilly might already be in my ranks. And again, we just need to see what the business is that Celtic do. So I think between Celtic midfield, I've got 6 cards here at a minimum right now that could all play as things stand at the moment. And depending on transfer business and how the chips fall necessarily, I should have 2 nailed on captains in O'Reilly. They can captain 2 teams each, very feasibly. And then I've got the likes of Hitates and Teixeira. And Rakitic, who's not in this picture, but Rakitic being in Croatia could be huge. Tanaka, we expect a transfer out of Bundesliga too, so let's just see where he goes. Isaka is another one in the K-League who can be somewhat usable when you know he's going to play. So again, across 3 base teams here. And if it's the ideal situation where O'Reilly stays, there's maybe enough here where I can think about a classic midfielder card in Teixeira, leading out my first in-season team when it gets built. So again, this is why I feel like I can be confident enough to kind of forecast my teams at Rare Classic doing well quick enough. Falcao's a bit of fun. Let's just hope we get that. Jetty's back in Switzerland, so that's actually a real having your cake and eating it thing with the strategy. A low cost card, a low value card overall, but if you can get the random, again, very team 3 capable. Same with Giakoumakis, maybe he's even team 2 capable with some of the scores we've seen from Dyson and Kyogo this year. But Falcao could be a boss in Colombia. It could be a bit meh. Similar to Hebert and Thiago have been in China. They could stand to be a bit better. But we've got that Tate forward card, which feels very good when he gets decisives. 2 Kyogos, 3 Dysons. A Palma's in here for good measure along with a Yang. So again, maybe this is the area, and that, like I mentioned to you earlier, I think this was the last tab before Yedai, but we're linked, or it must have been before Lodis. We've been linked to Balikwisha, and if Balikwisha comes to Celtic, by the way, he will score like Lewis Palma, but actually deserve it. He will be frightening for us. I've got no question marks about it for me. So, we're kind of having a wee peek at him. He's still cheap enough, I suppose, but I'm in no rush because it is only links at the moment. And we've been linked to Vinicius Souza before. We never got him. We've been linked to there was Fabian Rieder, which never happened, and he's not really kicked on, but he's definitely operating in the top end of the kind of prospect European market, as it were. So yeah, under 23 as well. So it's a guy that's worth doubling up on, I suppose. But yeah, I do feel that there's a good bit of confidence that I could be classic. I could be scooping into myself into D1 quite quickly. And then when I get into D1, it's then just seeing how difficult the field is. Now, I do have that nice kind of asterisks on the go specifically. And I think every league has, maybe every league is a bit of a stretch, but the majority of leagues do have something on the go where it's their own little quirk, their own cup schedule, which has a knock-on effect to their domestic schedule or whatever, where they do have their own midweek on occasion, or they do have a double game week, which sometimes can work in your favour, depending on the budget of the squad that you've got and the quality of players you've got and the way the fixtures have panned out. Um, so those things aside, you've got to think about the worst case scenario. Argentina's playing, Austria's playing, Croatia's playing, China's playing. You know, all these other leagues that we're in the same kind of mixture bowl with this. You can't ignore some of the standout players that will be there. And this year, guys, as well, what makes this a little bit harder, maybe not classic, right? But in season is that we're going to have Rangers on this year. And the only reason I mention them in this breath is because they have James Tavernier at right back now. Not the captain, so maybe a bit freer, but maybe on his way out. So we need to watch out for that one. But he is a game breaker of a card. He is one of the best defenders on the platform in the making. On so many, like his track record is incredible. You know, like he is a matrix breaker, and his cards will go for a lot of money. I will, if I own one, if I win one, I will gladly sell it. I'll maybe use it once or twice in Team 3. Get his value up a little bit, depending on how he's going or whatever. I won't be holding it long. If it's in a packet, I will not be opening it to look at his disappointed face. But the guy is like a serious 100 merchant. So there is guys like this, more prominent in midfield and maybe in attack or whatever. But they add a different dimension, certainly to the in-season ranks, because they will be in-season only Rangers cards. And if you're paying that amount of money for them, Rangers could be a very distinctive in-season strategy. For any of the neutrals out there, for any of the closet Rangers fans, or for any Rangers fans that have been sitting here dealing with our 7 James John Suitors that they can trade in 8 Cantwells and whatever else that they've had, they'll have a full complement of cards. And for any of you guys that are interested, Butland is now the captain, the goalkeeper, so it doesn't look like they'll be selling him, and he's probably going to be one of the best keepers in the region. His SO5 scores last year weren't great, but I think Rangers overall are quite a good defensive outfit, and especially domestic settings don't concede many goals. So let's catch up on the chat, what you guys are saying. Evan Crichtley, fist bump my man, good to see you. Agent Cooper, Pablo Bro, S King Sorare, good to see you, my man. You're looking at Challenger. Oh, was I? Oh, yeah, so I was. See, it jiggered on me when I went between screens. I had it all set up, so apologies. Yeah, I think I just... So 600 for a star? What was it for a star up here? 350 for Challenger? And Contender 600? That's brilliant, by the way. Because see, if that's because there's more teams playing, then fucking yeehaw, by the way. That's something we've maybe noticed that... Is it a typo? Is it maybe a typo for Challenger? Maybe it's meant to be a wee bit more. That feels fun. So we get stars for the top 4, tier 1s for the top 10. So yeah, tier 2s for top 28. So I can get behind that. There's a star in D2. And we're thinking beginning at D3 in game week 1. So yeah, we're aiming for top 70-ish or so. It's maybe a bit of a worse card. Again, this region holds a lot more tier 4s and 5s in it than probably any other region. I didn't even see the Rangers announcement. So it actually came in the overall announcement for the prize pool stuff, but it just mentioned that there are going to be some changes to the licensing. There's no more La Liga 2 next season. There's only like 2 Ligue 2 clubs coming back. I think they've still got the full Bundesliga 2, but I think that's going to be a contractual thing, and I don't know if they're deliberately dispensing with the second tier leagues now because like supply-wise, it's not really warranted if you're keeping limiteds. I think second division would have been Apex to do as an alternative to limiteds. I really do. Maybe it would have just made the game a whole lot better because it wouldn't have had that further tier of rewards to pay out. More guys would have been affordable at that level of rare, etc. Maybe it would have been a bit more dense. But anyway, can't get rid of limited, so getting rid of D2 is maybe better and maybe somewhat achieves the same things. I do agree with the sentiment for limiteds and where they sit in the game model at the moment. So this is the in-season one we're peaking at again. So that's something that I'll be thinking about later on once I've got a team or 2 built out. And again, from the very early doors, because I'm not going out with a wallet, and I know some of you guys might be, maybe the Rangers stack is one of the OP ways to go because you won't have much competition like in any way at all if Rangers smash, so that may be a bit of an OP situation because they could definitely outscore Zagreb, Salzburg, Boca Juniors, River. You know, they could definitely outscore so many of the bigger teams. Celtic, of course, can as well. But that's one thing that I don't think Sorare is ready for, is seeing these leaderboards mano a mano, Celtic versus Rangers, you know, who's won and who's ahead of who, and there's going to be a next level of bad blood come out on Sorare that I don't think people are ready for. Especially if Rangers fans really take to Sorare as well. So yeah, it's going to be fun and interesting. But Contender in season isn't one that I think that I am planning to get straight stuck into, but it is one that I do think I'll probably get a team together in 2 weeks from some rewards and maybe getting some early access to. I'm just trying to think if there's even a good example in the squad that's not got a card yet. Maybe a Lawal midfielder, a Sinisalo, Kasper Schmeichel, of course. Paulo Bernardo, maybe a second one of him is worth my while. If he did replace O'Reilly, I don't think he'd replace him score-wise. I think Hatate probably would, but yeah, there's some second copies, and already, like, again, just to kind of draw back, like, the Celtic collection is probably the most mature one I've got in terms of being 3 seasons deep and the amount of options that I've got in every position for the same cards and alternatives if there's rotation or whatever. But my New York collection isn't too far off the same thing. But what I think my New York collection is a lot better of a representation of, and again, this is a different region, so I won't stay on it too long, but more one that I recommend any Sorare manager who takes on a collection. Because when you take on a collection, most of the time you maybe go on to complete it, especially if it's at limited. All these ones are special to me because the majority of them are jersey number matches or shirt number matches to the serial number. I've got a player edition, Maxi Morales, which is signed, which is just fucking beautiful. He's New York City's Jimmy Johnson, if you're a Celtic fan here. And again, this team won MLS Cup, won Campeones Cup. So I love this. I've supported New York City since they were founded, and I've genuinely mean that. I watched all their preseason games in the inaugural year, as an example. But this isn't enough because some of these guys transfer, they move out, and all the rest of it. Now, I don't really care, because especially the reconfiguration of Sorare right now, I don't really care for the region that they're in, the competition that they're in, so I really don't care about them too much. But I've got that collection, and I love it, and I'm not going to really dispense with it because I've paid far too much for it now in current pricing. But what I've did in the following 2 seasons that we've had, and I don't think I'll continue it into next year, so I do think it might be just about there in terms of complete, is I just get a lot of the missing faces. Maybe some guys that never got cards, maybe guys that transferred in that I think are interesting. Some of them are youth prospects, rookie cards, whatever. There's not much here. It's up at 3% already. So, like we've seen on this game week, Ilinic and Sands both come in like pretty respectable scores. And thanks to that extra 3%, it definitely made a difference on the leaderboard because you've seen how tight it was, along with threes again. So it's a goalkeeper, and I'm making sure that goalkeeper gets a little bit more punching power. And in the current season, I just need to wait for 90 days or two to tick in. I could buy a card as well. Burke Reese at £7 is semi-attractive to me now at this point, as is a Rando at £3. But again, a lot of rookies. McFarlane's now playing. Fernandez is on the bench. Jones is injured. Zidane Yanez is just a cool name. So I've not even got really anyone in here that's a viable player. Bakrar, I really don't want to get. Alonso's a wee bit too expensive for me. But look at the footprint I've got across both of these years. It's pretty minimal. You can use rookies and first owner status to really help make sure that you get 3% as lean as possible. But I do think if you've got a main body collection, that is a strategy that you look to deploy. And even if it was for the fact of having a Kufri in 3%, I could play him with Celtic cards in theory if he was in Argentina or something like that, or Colombia or whatever the fuck, you know. Obviously, he's Red X, so I'm not interested in him necessarily, but it gives you a wee bit more flexibility to kind of plug in and play. So the Celtic collection at Rare being the most mature one is definitely the one I've got the most attention on in terms of these prize pools and what I think I'm maybe missing. And I do think when I looked at my teams there, I'm quite happy with how it's sitting at the moment, but transfers will change that, so I do need to watch out for forwards and O'Reilly coming in or out. And there's some questions in here that I'll take from you guys. But Tav wasn't even in the squad on Saturday. Him and Cantwell on their way out. Wow. Could backfire quite quickly. Just mind Rangers won't play at home for a while. Yeah, they'll be playing a lot of games at Hampden, which the practice will probably do them some good. Tatos, good to see you, my man. How much you reckon Rangers Limiteds and Rares will cost me? Sorare CT4. I don't really know, mate, to be honest with you. It's hard to judge the market because I think they can't go really any less than Celtic cards that are comparable in terms of scoring potential and viability. And I do think that they do have a bit of an asterisk on them. at this point, because like they will be an in-season collection only. So you do feel that that will magnetize, that will be a bit of a magnet for a lot of those cards and those collections. And if you're going to go after the in-season prize pool, like, you know, at the top of it, again, if you get podium, how often can you forecast a podium? Top 10? If you get top 10 often enough, it could be fun. But again, how many times are you forecasting to do that over a season? The Rangers could forecast, I guess, you could forecast just to spitball a number with you, for example, like top 20 there is an interesting prize pool across D2 and D1. So if you've got a collection as robust as mine now, bearing in mind collection bonus only activates on one copy per issue, per season. So if you got like 3 Taverniers, just to use him as an example, only one of them receives collection bonus. So that will be somewhat nerfed for double copies and stuff like that for Rangers. So there's a bit of a thing there to think about and consider, I suppose. But yeah, like if you got into 10 top 20s across the season, you're talking about 800 quid as a minimum average or something. I don't know what the actual average would be or how you'd work that out, but you know, it kind of then makes it hard. And again, then the cards become classic and then they move into classic or whatever. So it does, I think a lot of the run-of-the-mill players will be cheap enough. And before we go from Sorare, actually, I did want to talk about this today. So this ties in quite nicely because they are very much pushing you, like I mentioned with the factory thing, like they are really pushing collections as a key thing in the game, which I'm all about and I love. But every time you buy a card, you're going to get a box or just maybe some random roll of the dice in the background or something. I don't know how exactly. Maybe this will tell us. But for every rare or limited card you buy through auctions or instant buy, from July 17th to 31st, you're guaranteed a reward. When you purchase an early access card, you have a 95% chance of being rewarded with Essence. Just like Essence won in competitions, the Essence you require by purchasing a player's card will be associated with the competition that player is part of. For example, if you win Essence, blah, blah, blah. Yes, it's exactly talking about us right now. Love that story of GG's, my man. Thanks very much for that. The better the quality of your early access card tier purchase, the more Essence you can win. So it's somewhat stated. So if you do spend big dollar, you go get a star, very good chance you get more Essence. 5% chance that you get an actual card. Yes, that's right. 5% chance of winning another early access card from the same club for free. The quality of the card you can win from the 5% pool is directly related to the quality of early access card you have purchased. In the event that you win a card, but there are no players from the same position available, in the 5% pool, you will win a card from any player. Now, before I read on, I am interested if this is like a deadline as such, where it's like done at the end of the period, and then they manually do it or something, or if it's on activation on purchase. Let's see if it tells us that. All card rewards come from our market supply, not our reward supply. So these cards that they're going to give away and craft through Essence comes out of their pocket, in essence. Pardon the double use there. So interesting and nice that they've detailed that. Exclusive Mbappe rare special editions. So there's a random Mbappe, which is cool. Event draw. So this exciting 2-week event will run early access for the launch of all the main regions. This is the date for each of them, of course. Be ahead of the game, get rewarded. Yes, I don't think it actually tells us the mechanism of delivery for this. We assume it's a box, I think. Is it on purchase? Is it at close of event? Maybe you get a big batch of it all at the one time. So, yeah. So in any case, if you were to go and get Rangers, Celtic, Zagreb, Salzburg, any contender kind of European card we're thinking about that will come out in the early access one, because contender is the first region that gets early access on the 17th of July, which is tomorrow. So we'll have answers to this pretty post-haste, by the way. I wonder if we'll have Schmeichel and Sinisalo cards already. To go. Those transfers haven't officially been announced, but Tavernier one of is going to go for a few quid, I can tell you that. Are you going to be playing under 23 next season? Yes, but when I see Tani and Urbig are needed as interim Celtic goalkeepers, it's all on Van der Voort for one team. But it's nice to actually know now if it's maximum, it's middle of the vortex game weeks where everything's playing. I actually have 3 under 23 keepers, so that's fun to think about. Challenger, which is like the MLS, the Dutch League, Portugal, Holland, etc. They go on pre-sale early access stuff 5 days later. and then 9 days later is champion. So this is going to be the theme for the next couple of weeks. Depends if you're bidding against me. Are you playing under 23 next season, Quinny? Yeah, and I've just kind of briefly spoke about that. I've got some content on the channel that'll be coming out a bit more depth now that I'm waiting for the special weekly stuff, which will come out tomorrow, and then we'll have proper videos going through the strategy and whatever. But I just wanted to spend a nice bit of time on stream discussing priority one, which in terms of the rare cards, which is Celtic, and just how I'm sitting, how I'm feeling. You've seen some of the moves I've made already if you follow some of the content in terms of Hausenberg and Rakitic and Falcao and whatever. But it's just to kind of lay it out there. My thought process about how I evaluate my chances. Do I easily see choices for 3 teams? Is it 2 teams? What kind of viability am I after, etc.? And then scaling it against this. Because I do think like Celtic will be a top end team, and I can think about quite feasibly the weeks my guys deliver. I should have enough guys in and amongst the areas we want them in. But I think this is going to make it really easy to get a collection score together very, very quickly. And again, that's kind of half the reason I'm talking about some of these footprints and these kind of dynasty kind of strategies that have been on the go in my gallery. When it comes to under 23, you don't really have quite the ability to do this unless you're able to find like, a bunch of rookies and a few guys like Leipzig and Salzburg. Some clubs are pretty good for hoarding under 23 talents. Even Man City backup guys that get cards like Cole Palmer used to be, can be good to get in on. You'd need some wad of cash to buy free tabs, especially Rapid. You need to be brave as well, because like I say, there is rumours that he does leave. He's no longer captain. He's been there forever. So it's not out the realm of possibility he does leave. But like for example, last year, right? I've followed Sociedad for the last 3 seasons for a few different reasons. Brais Mendes moved there 2 years ago. He's been the main reason. I had no desire or ambition to get a Sociedad rare collection, Sociedad collection periods like at the beginning of the season last year. But I won a Take Kubo super early in the year, and I was just loved this card. I still do. It's a great reward. We've got him up to level 14 already, which is brilliant. It's been a wee bit of a pain in the backside, but he can deliver the big scores. He did drop me some good wins as well. And he's a guy that going into this season, I'm pretty excited about. Just signed a contract extension in February. Maybe he still moves. There's transfer rumours. Maybe that new contract has a minimum fee in it or some terms upon bids getting accepted or whatever. But not long after winning him, I got 12 of Zakarian, or Zakarian as I like to call him, or Zaki, to maybe me and you out there. And this is the sort of thing that I think early access and this ability to get another card or two quite quickly will come in, because for so many squads, Sociedad's a decent example, the jersey number backup midfielder probably doesn't go for too much more money than a run-of-the-mill serial number in the early access zone for maybe some of them, maybe not all, maybe there won't be that many of them, but there will be a few of them that people just don't pay any mind to, don't have the value in, don't have a limited wallet, and just can't do that for a random. I've now got a one of Olis Agassi, for example, which is a guy that is like a £7 rare. I'm not even that high on him in any way, but it's just good to get. It helps the collection bonus. But with one card like that New York collection or two I showed you as well is a good example. But getting to 3% on a couple of first owner cards isn't that hard. And if you've got that kind of incentive from Sorare that, you know, if you get the Take Kubo, there's a good chance there's a 5% chance you'll get a card, and that could be a first owner Turientes, that could be a first owner Zakarian, a tier 4 kind of guy, a tier 3 guy. Maybe it would be another tier 1 guy. Maybe you get 2 centre backs. You know, you buy Lenormand and you get the other one or whatever, you know, just to stick on the Sociedad example. So I do feel that, you know, in-season teams will probably be built quite easily. And I say that in the sense of like cards will be available. You know, this isn't going to be a competition where first to market has as big of an advantage as we've seen in the J and the K League in-season stuff that we've had in this handover period from Sorare. I think for these European leagues, the first to market thing will have an advantage, of course, especially if you've got stacks, you've got the 3% locked in, because everyone will need to wait the 90 days for these cards to totally tick in full collection score. But people will have teams, you know, make no mistake about it, you know. So, and especially with the one classic card, it could be the goalkeeper to make it a bit easier if you've got classic keepers to bring forth, or it could be captains if you've not got the money to go and get the Tavernier, the new issue guy that could be meta. Then you've got an old season guy you can sling in. So there's going to be a lot of different routes to go for Sorare managers into this. I'm not particularly rushing in for that reason, but I think I've got a good reason to be like I do like the top 2 prize pools here, especially for a team that I'm kind of backing. Now, if you've got a bit more of a budget team, maybe it's a team that is going to finish like 4th in Austria, 4th in Scotland, or something like that. They're going to beat more teams than they lose to. They could draw. Maybe they're not too high scoring. Maybe they do concede a lot on occasion. Those sorts of teams, I don't know. You need to then you need to kind of temper frequency. That's the main thing, because every Sorare team is trying to win. But what different cards allow you to do, different quality of cards allow you to do, is do it. Oh crap! I want to keep the tabs. Different qualities allow different frequencies is basically the punchline, you know. So, that's why I do think that the Celtic one allows me to have that kind of, I can think about winning primary kind of outlook to this. But if you're on a budget team or a budget squad, and you'll know that I'm not trying to be nasty or talk down to any other collections that are out there or whatever. It's just the reality. Like Celtic will lose like 4 games in the league or something this year, and more teams than not will lose 12, 16, you know. And if you're losing 10 plus games, that's a lot different than losing like 7 or whatever in a worst case scenario in a bad season. But again, you don't need a full stack for these guys. You know, you could have just like the captain from midfield. You go and get another good defender from somewhere else, and you try and build an eclectic collection in that standpoint. So I mean, there'll be a few different. And again, people all have in-season cards from Japan and Korea that come into this as well. Bear stack is a defo now, like for Pablo. You think all cards tomorrow will be auctions only? I think they have to start with auctions only, but I don't think they'll be slow in doing the instant buy. But what that looks like will depend on how they drop the cards like tomorrow. If we get like they load a full week's worth of auctions, maybe we need to wait a week for instant buy, and they do 3 copies, 4 copies of a player, and they get some sort of average as a floor and kind of build from there. I see you still need Marino and Zubimendi, both in the Spain team too. Now, actually, I keep doing that. Don't want to change tab. But yeah, I do need a Zubimendi and a Marino, and I was so close to getting a Zubimendi for like 20 quid. I ended up buying somebody else for like 20 quid or something. Maybe I get a few players cumulatively for that price or whatever. Zubeldia's down to 20 quid. But yeah, with the transfer links with them, Zubimendi's up to 33 now. Marino's, he was about 30 quid. He's up to 60 with the Arsenal links. Brais Mendes is up to 53 from like 35. I want those 3 guys in. And I've kind of got the egg timer upside down for them, because I want them to be first owner, but as soon as this thing happens on the 31st of July, that'll be gone, you know. So a couple of guys I really want to get in rapid. Not too worried about Baranashea. I could do with the goalkeeper as well. But this collection will get to 4%. If it did get to 5%, I've not even done the maths on what that would require at this stage, because I just don't want to go down that rabbit hole. Because you know what it's like, as soon as you work it out, you would go, fuck it, you just do it, don't you? But let's work it out quickly. We're on 380, so we're getting our 10 points, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60. We're getting our 60 in the post, which will get us to 440. So we need another 60 points to even get there. So yeah, even getting those guys secondary market would get me there anyway. So yeah, I'm not even stressing it too much. Audrey Azola at £6 looks appealing, but Zubeldia I like, but he's too expensive. He should be like £6 as well. So yeah, Alex Marino would be class, but is expensive. Yeah, and especially with the recent kind of La Liga focus. And again, I'm going to save this for the video we'll be talking about in a bit more detail. I think I can chat Champion Rare if he's a good wee bit, because this is also a primary strategy for me. And this is probably more where I actually have my in-season focus in terms of, you know, this is something like similar to Celtic, right? But obviously it's far more diluted, because my frequency of success for Champion is not going to be as prominent as it is with Celtic. So we look at Champion Classic, right? What divisions am I in? Probably going to be really hard to see that. zoom out because the screen's been a bit wonky. I don't know what game week we're on. Let's hit this one. Yeah, nothing. That's internationals. One before that. Nothing. One before that. Stuff. No stuff. One before that. There we go. Champion. Safe. So have I got D1 teams? I think I maybe had D1 teams as well. Maybe one. But around the D2 kind of level. So if I'm looking at this as being like a D2, D3 player, there's not really much potential to get stars. Getting tier 1s is going to be really tough. So I'm going to be really crossing my fingers at trying to get into the tier 3 pool in D2. I don't think I've got a D1 capable outfit. We'll look at that in a second. But I'm really looking at getting a lot of fodder quickly, I suppose, from D2, D3, from champion. Because I do think that I'll have like a good effort in here. But I've not got that many meta cards. I've not got many actual stacks on the go. And I think just a wee bit of that force majeure will go against me more often. It'll go for me. I'm up to 4 keepers now with the Killison, which is great. Van der Veer, let's see what happens with him. Hard to know how good Vasilj will be with St. Pauli this year, but even if he's like a Ryman or a Stefan Ortega when he was in the Bundesliga, if he can even do that kind of show, I'll be happy enough with that. And I think we know what we get with All Black. And I actually think defensively, Atletico Madrid will be better next year with Lenormand, who is someone I've also brought in at rare level. And again, a lot of guys here, like that top row, I don't expect any of them to feature outside of Lenormand. This row here, Pacheco should be the man, but I might use him in U23. Hamari could be better. Anderson is decent. Quatrad has less competition now for rotation, so he could be way better. Frimpong's dicey. But it's really these 3 down here that I'm relying upon for the most part. Angelino being the main guy at Roma, doing these kind of scores on the regular. Andy Robertson, we know, is one of the best left-backs in the world, although he's aging and maybe frequency of big score. As I say that, look at that. I know there's some Scotland games there, but maybe frequency of big score isn't quite what it once was. This is maybe a better... Yeah, he's actually fucking still the man, isn't he? So I think defence is a bit thin, but I do have the quality there. It's just not ripping, is it? So that's a bit of a deficiency, but I do think defenders are 10 a penny, and I really do struggle to... I'd rather have that amount of defenders I could do with another 1 or 2, and just trying to pick the odds on getting a good week for a few of them, rather than getting a Trent or some shit. If I want a Trent to be slightly different, obviously. In midfield, when Saul moved to Seville, I was all over this. Every time I've owned Saul on Sorare, I've owned him a few times, and every time I've owned him, it's for the simple reason that he was so close to joining Man City at one point. He is like a brilliant midfielder. It was never going to work for him in Chelsea. There was never a place for him in Atletico when he came back. And this is a guy who needs to be the main creator in a midfield. In Seville, not in Europe this year. I just felt that this was a great move. Getting that rare in for a tenner was brilliant. I think Turientes could be handy, but I'm not holding my breath. But Olmo, let's hope he doesn't move. And if he does move, it's the same sort of situation he's in. But Olmo's cool. And then this whole row here, really fuck knows what's happening with them. But this row, I've got a bit more hope in. Obviously, Wirtz. I hope Nkunku's fit for longer than anything. I hope Zaki can kick on this year. And Leimer is maybe a bit safer than Goretzka to be in the Bayern midfield. And in the back row here, again, I'm not holding my breath really on any of these guys at this stage. So the midfield it's kind of got a bit of punch, but it's a bit of a soft centre. In terms of my collection kind of jigsaw, I'm missing a wee bit of Soboslai. I think he would help this. But no one else really jumps out at the moment. So I'm kind of open to winning a guy that could be really viable. And if that's an in-season guy that's really viable that I win as a midfielder, then it doesn't really deplete anything I've got here, because he'd probably start over most of these guys. And then in attack, again, I'm quite reliant on some transfers. But, you know, Openda, I don't think is going to leave. Oyarzabal is not going to leave. Let's see what happens with Diaby. Becker, I don't think is going to leave. So I think those guys are all quite nailed and quite solid, as well as Taki Kubo. 3 of them are in the same team right enough, but I think that is the best front 3. Oyarzabal for the middle, Becker left, Taki right. Cherki will get hopefully a move. Let's see where Depay goes. He might not even be a champion card. And Castellanos now is the #1 striker at Lazio until they buy somebody with Immobile going to Besiktas. So have I got 3 teams worth of strikers here? When Sociedad are playing and they play all 3 of my guys very safely, this is quite weak as well. So I can't look at... Oh, I've changed the fucking pages, haven't I? So I can't look at classic champ with much veracity beyond like 1 team. I think I've got 1 team here of real quality in the right game week, maybe 2. I don't think I'm going to have three teams that I'll be really excited about, unless the fixtures just properly line up for me with the way the roster kind of stands at the moment. So this is more like, because even the fodder that I imagine this winning, can I just hit back and hopefully it's easy enough? I just click back enough times. But I still think like one or two good teams in that region of the quality I've got, I could still do well in the D2 and in the D3. I could even maybe swing some of them, and I could maybe even just run the same strategy, but maybe focus a little bit more on La Liga. But I'm not too sure. I've got the strikers for. Oh, I do have the strikers for it actually. I've got the defence. I've not really got the midfield. I would need to get more of the Sociedad guys to feel better about that, I suppose, for rare. So I'm going to stick with champion because I've got the likes of Nkunku and Wirtz and whatever. But yeah, being a handy D3, D2 player, maybe you pop into D1 once in a while and get relegated again or scrape into the prizes for a wee bit. But winning tier 3s and tier 4s, like from this region, are easier to sell than they are in contender. So these cards I hope to win to maybe lubricate the contender strategy so that can be a bit more viable to get into the in-season a bit quicker. Because I don't think I'm going to get an in-season champion team in any kind of expedited speed that would make it something I want to look at and target. But at rare level, I see that with contender. So I do think that champion is the place to be for cards. And like if I do get better at this region, like I do win a good card or two, like look at my trophy cabinet last year. I won 3 quality guys, Openda and Take from under 23. Goretzka, I can't remember what division I won him from, but I won 3 guys, 3 very good guys that now would probably make my best team, depending on the situation, and Wirtz previously. So I can think about winning, if I did win a tier 1 or something like that once in a while, like, yeah, I can cross my fingers for a good wee bit of RNG luck. But I do think rare is a region that, if you've been playing Sorare, or a competition I should say, if you've been playing Sorare for any length of time that I know a lot of you guys on the channel have, or even if you're brand new, champion is the region where you've got the most, I don't know if security is the word, but it's the biggest prize pools, it's the best known players. Their transfers tend to kill them less overall. What's the other filter we've got here? Clear all filters. It's a weird one. Right, it was only those guys showing up. No, not Premier League. Oh, Premier League. I think that's what it was. Then yeah, even if it's like building towards one, I think this is quite a good build I've got on the go so far. But it's definitely not complete. It's definitely not overly competitive. But it's like competitive in the right setting. A lot of teams in Europe here as well, so maybe I get some midweek special weekly action, which is why I kind of want to save some of this content a bit better video wise for when we get the prize pool announcement for special weekly and some of the plans for midweek Champions League, etc. Because then that will play into a different dynamic, you know, because then I'm combining some cards that I've got, you know, depending on how the fixtures shake out. So there's going to be 4 home games, 4 away games. You don't play the same team twice. And for the first time ever in the Champions League, like if Celtic are a pot 4 team, we'll finally be able to play home and away against a pot 4 side as well, which means, you know, way more chance that we win games. So yeah, any recommendations for cheap champion keepers with European utility? Gazaniga, I don't know how cheap he is at rare level, but Girona will be in the Champions League. God knows what their transfer policy is going to be in the summer, but you know, do they come out of this summer stronger than they went into it? Hard to say, but you know, he'll play every game undoubtedly. Went all in on K-League this year, just won Thibaut Courtois by getting first in All-Star Rare last Friday. Wow, well done, mate. Bob Franklin. Any cheap La Liga recommendations to pair with him? So, if you're thinking about defence, I really do like Lenormand at Atletico Madrid. I think you'll be much more of... The thing about Lenormand at Athletic is he's got full licence to go for bookings and stuff like that. Maybe the odd red card will show up. I think he'll be a real boss centre back at Atleti. I think you'll get his better performances more regularly than these other ones that we got for Sociedad. Like I just think he'll be way better. Not that certain, obviously, but Sol for midfield, mate, 1000%. He'll be so cheap. How much is Sol going for at rare? Still don't know. Yeah, like for 16 quid, even the worst case scenario, if you miss the boat on a 3D one. or something. So hard to not. Yeah, I think they go up at Atleti as well. And even John Pacheco, by the way, who's still quite cheap for a rare, him replacing Lenormand, he's pretty set to repeat his scores, but he's under 23, and that might divide you somewhat. But he'll do this shit all season. The 22 will be there still once in a while. Maybe that 11 will come into the reckoning, but he'll be good, man. He'll be good. Lots of passes, good guy. Try to think if there's anyone else that jumps out at me. I do also think one to look at, maybe need to see how pre-season shakes out. Again, I'm kind of biased on this, but Mark Roca's signed on at Betis. They're waiting on Guido still leaving. Johnny Cardoso might go. But again, instant buy from Basel for £9. Doesn't feel like a bad one to have. Because again, if he's playing all the time for Betis, this is for Betis last year. If he plays all the time, he's handy, The number one value guy, but so gutted I don't have this unique anymore, by the way. Oh, it's for sale as well. What's it going for? Pavel still got it. Miss it so much, by the way. Miss it so much. Poor Ivan Martin. Wow, it's actually like 40 quid. That's surprising. I thought he'd have been like a tenner. Fair enough. But yeah. Is Europa League adopting the same new format as the UCL? I think it is, by the way. I'm not too sure if it's this year, but I think all European competition is going to that Swiss League format. I think that's the terminology for it. We'll grab the new cards to be able to play in season. Thanks to the recommendations, Bob Franklin. No problem. I have 100 to 200 to invest in game. Where am I best to go with it? Having seen your vids, am I best building a base prem to learn alongside playing rivals? Andy Pearson. That's a great question. And well, if the prem's the best thing then that kind of double up. Because I'm assuming with that sort of budget, and for the prem you'd need to be playing limiteds. It's definitely the way to go, I would think. But so right now, the champion pre-sale starts on July 31st. The first batch of these cards are going to be way more expensive, and they'll gradually get cheaper as the season goes on, with diminishing in-season utility. Andy, so you kind of need to make a little bit of a judgment call with yourself on, in terms of limited. I got both of them still. I've still got this one open. Limited Classic Champion. So buying a team for this isn't going to be that hard to do on the budget you've given me there, especially Premier League. I still think there's some nominal keepers. Everyone's favourite on this channel. What does Flecken go for? 20 quid. Yeah, so you'll be able to get a Prem keeper or two. Ortega Moreno feels like a great one to get. Now, the kind of Ederson move is a wee bit built into his price, but not all the way there, I don't think. So I would probably get an Ortega Moreno with that kind of budget as your second keeper and just cross your fingers that comes through. Maybe even Vicario. A great shout as well. I do like Vicario. Tottenham will have some European football as well. He's you can see the price of a good keeper. It's 60 quid. But with that sort of budget, that's probably the best way to go, because you'll see of your 1 to 200 quid, I wouldn't recommend you spending it all at once. Also, make sure you click the link if you haven't opened your account yet, so you get £50 of credit once you've bought 5 cards from Instant Buy or from auctions, to kind of reinforce your team. I did a video on the channel, and it's a kind of hack on how to do this, and it was spending 70 quid, and what you ended up with was Palmer and Gordon half price, and then you got your squad for the 70 quid that you outlaid, if that makes sense. It's not that old on the channel, but I'll tell you the name of it so you can search it once we're done here. If you're watching this after we've been live, I'll put it on the end screen if I remember, which I should do. After we've been live, but it went out a month ago or so. So I do think the 50 quid is a great sign up bonus. If you haven't activated it, make sure you do that. I'm just going to search my channel. Yeah, so if you search my channel, It's called Best Beginner Budget Team. Don't need to listen to that now, but Best Beginner Budget Sorare Team. And the thumbnail is like me with a bit of popcorn or whatever. And this is me like building through goalkeepers, doubling up positions and stuff like that. Different price points for players and all the rest of it. It's mostly still valid probably, but you now need to put this in a completely classic setting. So go and check this out for a better kind of run through. But yeah, you can take your time by playing rivals and really see, like, is this guy going to break into the team, or is this guy actually viable in Sorare? Is he an actual good option? I wonder what a Wharton Limited goes for. 2 on instant buy. That's what that tells me. 30 quid. He's maybe a wee bit punchy. But yeah, just thought I'd check that out. How long does it take for my mystery jersey to be delivered? Sorare CT4. I'm not too sure, mate. It kind of depends on like local customs and stuff like that. If you're in the UK, I know from before, like getting stuff now from the EU is a nightmare. The pick and mix bag, not bloody popcorn, sorry. Pick and mix bag. Yeah, I watched that. Yeah, so if you're going to do Prem, that's the sort of strategy I would do. Try and get all the squad guys nice and cheap. Buy them from Sorare. Get your 50 quid in and then get your studs half price, essentially, you know. Did that with your code. Brilliant, Andy Pearson, my man. Ederson deal looks to be off. They're after another Brazil goalkeeper now, Charlie Dunbar, with his finger on the pulse. Thanks very much for that. I seen him go for 25 the other day. I don't know who that was. So yeah, maybe hang fire on the Ortega Moreno, actually, if the Ederson move is off. I've not been up to speed on that today, guys. Oh, and Andy, I'm just seeing your first comment here. Sorry, I spent the last week or so trying to get up to speed with things. So much has changed since I last checked out a couple of years ago. Yeah, I thought I recognised your name, Andy. I didn't think you were new to the channel, but maybe, yeah, you've been in, came and returned kind of thing. So welcome back, my man. Fist bump. And yeah, I think I do have rare challenger cards, but it's all that New York City collection, and I'm playing them in non-challenger all the way to the death. And then when they do become challenger cards, then hey, I'm just going to roll them out and see what happens. And I've got some other cards there, like you've seen Forsberg, Gold, Larson, Russell, Turnbull, Bata, you know, maybe there's, and also we expect Bernardo to rejoin Celtic, but you know, I'm not, this will be summer for me, if anything, you know, and we'll see what European cards it maybe wins when there's a crossover period. Maybe I get some fun guys back into the club like Koki Machida or Joe Chima Fujita. There's been some fun guys that I've had in the club that I don't have anymore, so yeah, primary focus is selling classic champion cards, and I'm not too sure how viable. I don't think winning tier ones really looks on the cards for my level of squad at the moment, but I do think winning tier threes, yeah, tier threes and such is there. I think if I was to find myself in D3, D4, I could have my day in the sun if I did have an entry to play in there. If I played my cards right, as it were. So that may be my best shot at getting a tier 1 from this region, is playing those lower division entries when I have them with my best team. So maybe there's a wee bit of option for that, but the tier 2 pool is quite slender. Top 10, I could see myself pulling that once in a while perhaps, but not very often. So yeah, champion tier 3s and 4s, I hope to get good pools and good value. Whereas with challenger, I kind of expect that I'll be at the top end of D2 and D1, and I can think about a better quality of card coming into the club a bit quicker, which can help me get into in-season quicker, start winning cash. So it's kind of a duality on regions for me. Maybe you guys will operate that same strategy, but within the same region, but maybe different collections. So you buy an in-season collection deliberately, or there's a few other different things going on with Ederson. Oh, did Ederson go for 25? Well, if that deal's off, maybe you still get him with the fear built into his price. He's back to the 40 mark. Maybe I still a bit of fear in that pricing when you see that Vicario's at 55. These cards will be classic, of course, and at limited level you can only play one classic card in your in-season entry. Again, it could be the goalkeeper. That'll be a popular option for a lot of people, I imagine. But yeah, so maybe a wee bit of that. Again, Ortega and Ederson together, 60 quid, totally handcuff the situation up. But maybe not worth doing for your first lineup, handcuffing the same team. I always find that Andy Laird, I know, shares this opinion, but like it is fun to maybe have a backup at a different team. You know, like I had Jojo Wallacott in here until it looks like now Bursik's going to be number 1, so I shipped him on for some of the trades we've been doing. But getting number 2s at different clubs is just as good as having a number 2 at the club that you've got the goalkeeper for. Ederson's price graph is wild. Let's have a peek at that. Not sure how long we've been live for, guys, but I'm not sure we'll be live for too much longer, so we've been on for a fair bit, no doubt. We've had some lovely wins with the rewards tonight. We've got some good strategy chat, kind of off our chest and under our belt. Some great contributions from you guys in the live chat as well. Pricecraft, let's just look at limited. 3 months. Yeah, let's just zoom into 1 month. Wow. And then it dies down a wee bit. The fear coming and going, it's mad, isn't it? I think I'd be getting either Pickford or Emi. Emi Martinez is top of the food chain. Top of the food chain. I don't know if you've seen, I dropped an Aston Villa video earlier today. They sincerely do have number 3 squad for me in the league right now. Maybe. You know, Liverpool are still up there, of course. But maybe Arsenal, would you even say they've got a top 3 squad? I know they've got a top 3 best 11. But Villa, for me, top 4, top 3 potentially best squad in the league. And Emi Martinez is everything you want in a goalkeeper. Now, he does have that 14 there. He does have that 14 there. He does have that 4 there. That'll happen. But more than makes up for it. More than makes up for it. Someone hit me up in the Aston Villa comment section and they were telling me that Emi Martinez has won more trophies for Argentina than he's had goals conceded. What? I know. Aston Villa, Champions League. You know, I think he's the man. And who was the other one you mentioned? Again, Pickford. Now, I actually hate Pickford. I don't think he's a good goalkeeper. I don't think he's great. I just don't think he's a great keeper. But SO5-wise, he's very hard to overlook. SO5-wise, he is the Premier League's Etienne Vassen, or, you know, whatever you want to think of this guy as. But forever 50, you know, and can do big scores if he does get the clean sheet in. Yeah. So for me, Emi number 1. I get it. I think Pickford will probably be a little bit cheaper. Maybe not by much. He does have that England utility, which is also very valuable to have. Ian Sorare, that's not true. Maybe it wasn't goals. It was something like that, but maybe it was games lost. Maybe he's won more trophies in games he's lost. Something like that. It might not be goals conceded then. I beg your pardon, Ian. Maybe it's games lost. Pickford slander. Love it. Because he's from Sunderland. But I'm just not a big fan of him, but he's very AA friendly. It's hard to ignore. Like, you've got everything you want, really, in a goalkeeper, so I get that. But I'd be Emi. Not while then, Pablo, bro. Fair enough. Onana this season, like, I think Onana. Are you talking about goalkeeper? Let's look at the goalkeeper first of all, because I do think he is very SO5 friendly. We've got a champion goalkeepers from Celtic cards somehow. But we'll chat about this for 5-10 and we'll shoot the road, right? So it's been a good stream, but this will be the last kind of subject matter. Maybe look at Onana Villa if that's what you meant, but I do think like, his scores aren't actually really that bad. He just doesn't have too many of the big ones that really win you stuff. And this gives me kind of Tanny deja vu. So if they do sign Delict, who else? I just did a Man United video. Where is the tactics board? Let's see if we can pop that open and look at Man United real quickly. I can't remember everyone that they've got in their squad and who's been linked to and such. But if we pop this on tactics board, oh no, not this page. This page. Does it come on? Nope, it's not there. There we go. Boom. Oh, it's all ski with. So if we look at tactics board, let's move that up a wee bit. Now let's just get rid of that down. Let's just hide that. Oh no, wrong thing. There we go. Yeah, Xerxes in town, and McSauce might be leaving. Ugarte is obviously a link. So yeah, if they get Ugarte, they get Delict, then like I think this Kwambala guy's off now, isn't he? But that is a huge difference. And Lisandro, Delict, and Onana, ex-Ajax triangle here. You've got to think there's a bit of synergy coming into this team. Mainu carrying the ball out, Ugarte being the butcher, doing the Roy Keane job. I think Man United could be a good SO5 team this year. I don't think they're going to get Lenny Yoro. He's not going to Real Madrid, to be quite frank. It's the same as Xabi Alonso. Like, some people just go to Real Madrid and they're not going to entertain anything else. I'm actually considering making a Man United stack as my third Premier League team. I think there's a good team in here, SO5 wise. They do kind of have everything you want, but this is dependent on some transfers going through. You need to kind of see what business they get up to and who comes in. Lisandro could be a good option, but I think Delict will be. If you look at his scores at Bayern, like Delict will get 35, 88 every game for Man United. And if Onana gets less goals conceded against him, he's maybe got a few more clean sheets under his locker. He's got a bit of AA. Maybe that can improve with the dynamics that can change here. It's a kind of high value collection in the making, you know, with some of these guys being like young up and coming guys, international players and whatever. But I can't see them getting in the top 4. I can't see them maybe top 5 as Champions League this year. I forget. But let's compare and contrast this, guys, to Aston Villa. This is how we finished the video that's been out earlier today. You can go and check it out. But this midfield, Boobs, Baranachea, Onana, Buendia, Rogers, Ramsey, Tielemans, McGinn-Iniesta, Ross Barkley. The amount of different quality combinations that can be made there. Never mind factoring in Bailey. Diaby feels like he's going. Ealing Jr., Fellaini. Like, this is just going to be so good, man. Maybe even better than last year, how the balance is. Because Douglas Luiz, like, got a lot of I say a lot of criticism. He got some criticism when Camera was out, Boobs, that he wasn't quite as good or he wasn't quite as effective. Boobs being back is going to help, obviously, but Onana does carry the ball. Onana's got a bit of the Tourés about him, you know, where he can drive up the pitch. Douglas Luiz doesn't really have that. Wee guy is Garnacho. Yeah. He's just wee guy to me. He just looks like a wee bam. I like the look at Onana too, but cannot bring myself to buy United players. That's kind of where I'm at. Like, I really cannot say to you Man United's a great stack, go and buy them. Because if they can find a way of fucking it up, they tend to, you know. Quite frank with you. What is the pink and what is the blue? So yeah, I try and think about what's the best 11 when I'm doing this. So like the home team kind of colour, I'm thinking best 11, and then the other colour is like second string. Buendia's injured, Mings is injured. I think they're back soon. I'm not sure when Boobs is back, but I think he's best 11, so that's why I've coloured him like that. I do these videos on the channel all the time. There's so rare players and managers that maybe don't catch them. They're very much worth, you know, a kind of break. So again, I try and think about what's the best 11 here in red, and then the second string in black. And Celtic have now got the Villa keeper in. And then with these Celtic ones are kind of youth players that are sniffing about the squad. That's what the yellow is. But again, similar kind of thing. I try and get a best 11 and second string kind of dynamic on the go visually. Is this the Arsenal squad? Have I got any I've got Calafiore on this. But like, is this squad much better than that? The quality of it is, Saka's behind my head here. The best 11 is way better. I don't know if the total squad is, but especially in the attacking spaces, like if they're missing a key attacking midfielder, their system breaks down, you know. Garnacho does look like a wee bam. Don't tell me he doesn't. He just looks like a wee bam. Like, if Garnacho was Scottish, he would be McCausland, that wee guy at Rangers. That's kind of how I think of him as. He's like the Argentinian, like, wee guy like that. So, yeah, best 11's clearly better, don't get me wrong, but is the squad overall better? And yeah, Ben White's Towie. What did you make of the home comments? I thought they were interesting, and I really do agree with Brendan Rodgers, because I do think that Odenholm, let's put the tactics board away, and we'll look at this on SD. Save changes, yes, and we'll just close that now. But Odenholm, like, the SO5 scores probably weren't really showed too much. They didn't play too often in SO5 activity. But honestly, I took a few shots from the edge of the box, and I thought, fuck, man, that looks like me shooting. That looks like me on a pitch taking a shot from the edge of the box. And like, I don't think he's anywhere near ready. From what I seen last year, I would hope by now he's closer to that physically and just technically knowing what the expectations are. He does have promise, he does have talent, but he's definitely somebody that, like, in terms of SO5 wise, you really just hope he goes back to fucking Bodo, or I know we got him from Valerenga or something like that, but you just hope he goes back to Bodo or Rosenborg or something and is like the real Hatate of the Elitiserien. I'm not holding my breath on him. Could be good. But again, these comments are there to spurn them on. For sure. No two ways about it. So he's got talent and stuff. I wouldn't be buying him thinking he's going to walk into O'Reilly's shoes. He's not shown enough last season, and if Rodgers is making comments like that, then he's obviously not close enough. I did have a bit of hope for Bosan here, who's only got a few defender cards on the platform. Played Fleetwood last year. There's no SO5 scoring for it, but he got into the Ireland squad as a result. Never made an appearance. But again, he was also tied in those comments as needing to do more. Can't just be a prospect. He needs to show he can contribute. Agent Cooper, I've been a Villa fan since '93, and this is the most exciting Villa squad I've ever seen. We'll miss Dougie, yeah, no doubt about it. I love how many Villa-related videos you make. Sky Sports don't care about us. Mate, I don't know. I really, honestly, like, I just want to make, in terms of the videos and stuff, I just want to make interesting football videos from all the stuff that we're kind of engrossed in, and for me, like, Villa just are so interesting right now with Monchi. Like, honestly, like, see that I didn't really hammer it home too much in that video that went out today, right? But really, when you look at what they've done with Archer and Philogene, they have been ahead of everyone. Like, they have done business in this transfer window in terms of positive FFP kind of stuff, or, you know, minimal FFP impact last year with those moves. You know, they've been really playing 4D chess better than anyone. You know, they've got so much of their business done early. If Diaby goes for big money, I seen today Charlie Dunbar mentioned it in the Sorare Data live chat, but Kang-In Lee's had a big money bid from the Premier League rejected by PSG. That for me is Aston Villa. They sell Diaby, they sign Kang-In Lee for me all day, every day. I don't think that's not what's going to happen. I hope we get more Celebration Edition cards. And then all this early access stuff, by the way, we didn't really touch on that, but as well as like the ability to maybe win free cards and craft and all the rest of it, there's still all these early access cards. There's a 1 in 10 chance, 10% of early access cards will be special edition also, which will boost the collection bonus of any collection you're building up on. If you capture one of them, never mind multiple, it will really make a big difference. But yeah, celebration cards are beautiful. All the fancy cards I think look great. The bid was reportedly Newcastle, was it? That'd be really good as well. Be very suitable to Newcastle. Very, very suitable. Great replacement for Almiron. I could see him being a Newcastle player very feasibly. Very similar to Gordon, you know, and that kind of real direct run, dribble, decisive kind of guy. So yeah, that'd be a great fit. But I think if Villa sell Diaby, I could see them turning their eye to him as well if he's available. If they didn't go for somebody maybe like Carlos Soler or Alex Baena, who they've been linked to previously. But yeah, guys, I think that's going to be all she wrote from me tonight, guys. That's my kind of first, I don't know if it's first reaction, but it's my first kind of strategical kind of re-evaluation on my rares for, because again, having 170 of them at this point across all the regions and clubs and collections that I'm running with here, I just feel that that's the main thing for me to kind of address first and foremost. 40 rare collections, which is cool. And you can see the kind of cross-region element. I really do love what I've got going on here. How it all kind of cross-pollinates and helps each other, you know. So we've also let some of our best youngsters go. Kelman, Aaron Ramsey. I don't know. No. There was another Ramsey, wasn't there? Carney Chukwuemeka. Is he one of yours? Unai Emery is also very interesting tactically. I expect him to do something different this season. I'm not going to get... I can talk Villa. Have I still got the tactics board open? I don't. I've got it closed. But you're right. And with the way he's building the squad, there is so many different permutations of how he might, again, chess ball on the pitch against the opposition in the Premier League. So yeah, Aston Villa could be a great stack for everyone again. For the great one tonight, guys, don't forget to hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. Hit the like button, all that good stuff. And yeah, stay out of trouble. And I will catch you on the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.